Hello and welcome to this presentation entitled How to Make a Great Website and Social Media Experience with Simple Steps without having to learn technical details or deal with so-called experts. So the goal here is to try to get some great results the easiest and fastest way possible. All right, so here we go. Go to the next slide. The overview here is going to be, we're going to go over the foundation, which includes the domain name, website, email, and social media. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about a website and making it simple, better, easier to update, some options and methods for that. And then about social media and Facebook a little bit, and then a little bit very quickly about Facebook ads, Google ads, and then a little bit about pictures and video, basic and easy ways to get the most out of it. Okay, so let's start with the domain name. Now, a lot of people don't know how this works exactly, and you don't really need to know this in too much detail, but I just want to cover the basics here. There's different pieces that you have that work together, and the first piece is the domain name. So as an example, you see in the upper left there, mywebsitename.com, which would be, www. whatever website name you have .com. It could be .org or .net as well, or among others. So that domain name itself has to be registered somewhere, and usually it's going to be registered with a company like GoDaddy or HostGator or Network Solutions. The average cost for that is closer to $10 a year. Some places charge up to $50 a year, but that's more than you need to pay. And let's just look at the GoDaddy website. See, if you go to GoDaddy.com, you can type in a name that you want to find and search for it right here, like mywebsite.com. That'll be taken, I bet. It's available, but it's available for $175,000. Now, if you did my website USA.com, that's taken too. But what if I said USAMN.com? That's available, and that costs $11.99 a year. Now, you don't have to add all these other variations of it, and you don't need to have all these extras that they try to sell you. All you need to spend is that. But you can use GoDaddy to grab your domain name, and then once you've got a domain name, then you can point that to your website. Okay, so that's why I have this arrow here that points to your website. Your website would consist of all the pages that you would have, these are common pages here. So to get a website, now you can actually host a website on GoDaddy as well, but I like to use SiteGround, and there are a lot of different website hosts, as we see here: GoDaddy, HostGator, Bluehost, InMotion, SiteGround, WP Engine. WP Engine is a more expensive one because it gives you it enables you to handle a lot more traffic. But if you don't get a lot of traffic, you don't need to spend that much. This will cost you more like $50 to $100 a month, where these others can cost you as little as $5 a month. And we see that right here on SiteGround. Their cheapest plan is $3.95 a month. And you can host a WordPress website right there with this plan. So then what you've got is you've got a GoDaddy account and you've got a SiteGround account. And the GoDaddy account has your domain name. So you would have your credit card in there, and every year that would renew automatically. You can set it so it automatically renews. And then your website, a similar thing, and you can pay that annually as well, which at $5 a month would be about $60 a year. And it's probably a little cheaper if you pay it yearly, but still pretty cheap. All right, and SiteGround is a good option. That's a good website host. InMotion is also good. These others are, some of these others are very common, but sometimes they're not as good, depending on what server you get put on. All right, and then you've got social media. Of course, social media consists of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Pinterest, and a whole other bunch of other things as well. So one little quick thing about the domain names is the domain name has some settings in it, and there's something called an A record that points to the computer that hosts your website. And then they also have within the domain name an MX record or multiple MX records that point to the computer that hosts your email. Now, if you just have a regular Gmail account, a free Gmail or Hotmail account or something like that, then you don't have to worry about the MX record settings at all. But if you have an email address that has your domain name in it, like info@mydomainname.com, then you need to go into this MX record setting and point that to your email server. Now that gets a little bit more complicated because you've got to work with your email server and your email hosting. Depending on where that is, you could use Google to host a professional email account, and they would give you instructions for how to set this up. Now, your domain name, your website, and your email accounts, they can all be on the same hosting account or computer, or they can be on separate hosting accounts. Usually, even if you're on the same hosting account with email, you'll probably be on a separate computer, but you can combine these up or split them out. Split them up. Okay. Okay, I'm inside of my GoDaddy account, and I'm in the domain manager part, and I'm looking at my domain name called database.com, and if I click on manage DNS, then I've got these records I was talking about, and there's this 1A record here that points to this, and this is the IP address of the computer that has the website. So what you would do is when you get your domain name is you would edit this and change that to the IP address. I'm going to cancel this because I don't want to change it. And that's all you have to do to point your domain name at your website. Now, the place you would get this value is in your web hosting account. Like if you use SiteGround, you would get it there, and I'll show you where that is. All right, so I logged into my SiteGround account, which is where my website is, and then I clicked on my accounts, and then there's some tabs here, and I clicked on information and settings, and I can look down here and I see account IP. This value right here is the IP address of the computer that my website's on. So I went over to, when I set this up, I went over to my domain name in GoDaddy and I put that value right here. Okay, and that's all you need to do to point that domain name to the website that's on the SiteGround account. Okay. Now if you have email to set up, then you've got these MX records. You need to add those, and you can add records by clicking that add button there, add link. Usually there will be one or two defaults in here, and then you might have to change them, but these are values for Google email servers. And if you do set up email with G Suite, which is what Google calls their paid version of Gmail, basically, you get a lot of other things with it as well, but they will give you instructions on how to put these values in here. But basically it's in here, and you can go in there and do that pretty easily. All right. Okay, so remember then that your domain name A record points to the computer that hosts your website, and your domain name can be hosted within the same hosting account as your website, or it can be separate. I happen to have a lot of mine separate because I do a lot of websites for a lot of clients, and over the years I've switched website hosts because I found out that some website hosts were better than others, so I kind of skipped around and went to some newer accounts, and that's how I ended up at SiteGround and InMotion, and that's a good one too. Still have some websites on HostGator as well, which is a popular one. All right, and okay, so now let's talk about the recommended website platform, and I've got WordPress there. Why WordPress? Because it's powerful, flexible, free, and it's the most common platform in the world. All right, and within your website hosting account, so within SiteGround, if you use SiteGround, for example, you can install your WordPress website right there. Now let's go back a couple lines to this. So I said WordPress, but not WordPress.com. So if we take a look at WordPress.com, that's right here. WordPress.com is a free blogging website where you can set up basically what is like, it's kind of like a website itself that you can have, but you're listed within the WordPress.com neighborhood or network. What you want to do is use WordPress.org. Now I flipped over to WordPress.org here. That means self-hosted WordPress websites. But you really don't have to even go here to get it, although you could download WordPress here, but you don't have to do that because with your website host, they will have an automatic installer for you, and it'll be really easy for you to install your website. So when you're in your web hosting account, you can go to cPanel, and then from there you can go to WordPress Tools. See, this has it all built in, and then I can click WordPress Installer, and I can click Install, and then I can just fill in these few settings here, and I can install a WordPress website right into my hosting account right here. It's very straightforward to do that, okay? Okay, so let's do a quick review of an actual WordPress website. I'm going to go over to my own website here, and we'll go to the login screen. And so this is how you update a WordPress website. You log right into it. And you'll notice a black bar on the top here. I can go back and forth between the front of the website and the behind the scenes part. So we still see this black bar up here. So if I go over here to dashboard, then I have all of these controls here. I've got posts, media, links, pages, comments, and plugins, a lot of different things here that I can go in and have control over the website with. So under appearance, you've got themes, and a theme is something that you use that is kind of defines the layout and the functionality of your website. And then on top of that, you've got plugins. So you can add plugins that add more features to the website. Okay, so one of the plugins that I use that I highly recommend is Beaver Builder. Let's see, where is that? Right there. And Beaver Builder gives you the ability to easily make changes to a website. So it puts this page builder thing here, and I can click page builder, and then I can easily go to the website and make changes on anything I want to make changes to. You see I typed right there, and the change is right there. And then all I have to do when I'm done with my changes is click done up here and publish, and it's that easy to make a change. I've got several pages here. I can go into any of those pages and change the pages with the page builder, and in addition to that, I can add new pages. I go up here, add new page. A post is for the blogging part. So if I go to the blog page, I'll see blog posts. And I can go into an individual post, and I can even change that post. I can use the edit post functionality for that. But WordPress and Beaver Builder make it really easy to make changes to your website. It really gives you a lot of control and makes it easy to control. Now the other part of the Beaver Builder thing is the theme. They also have a theme, so I would recommend this as well as a Beaver Builder theme. And it's two parts, but we won't get into that at this part. There's a child theme and a regular theme. That just helps you when they come out with updates to this. It doesn't wipe out all of the changes that you've made to your child theme. So there's a reason to have two themes, or they work together, but it's basically one theme that's split into two parts. So anyway, I just wanted to mention this advantage of using WordPress as the WordPress or as your website platform. Now next I have a little email lesson, and actually we've already gone over the MX record setting in the domain name. Now that, like I said, is for the professional or the business version of having email addresses, an email address that has your own domain name in it. Now if you have an email address that's just a simple Gmail address, for example, like this one here, then you don't need to worry about the MX record setting. Okay, and it doesn't match your domain name. It's a simpler way to do it. It just doesn't look quite as professional. But you can still use an email like this within your website, within email forms, or you can have people email you to any kind of email address, as long as it's any kind of valid email address. You can have them email you from your website. It just doesn't look like that. All right. Now a little bit about social media, social media lesson. The social media, your social media is not tied directly to your website or your email through your domain name, like your website is tied to your domain name, or like your domain name could be tied to your email address. Social media is just separate. But you can tie your social media to your website through snippets of code inserted into your website. And you've seen that a lot of times where people will have on their website a link to their Facebook page or to other social media, Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Okay, but let's take a look at how Facebook can be tied together with your website. And also note, I've got here, don't put a simple link to your Facebook page on your website, and I'll explain that. Okay, on my website, on my database.com website, I have this little thing here, but notice it says share this website. So if you click on the Facebook link, it doesn't bring me to Facebook. It opens up this little window and it says share on Facebook. So if I have a visitor who's visiting and they click that little Facebook icon there, it's not going to bring them over to Facebook. It's just going to bring this up, and then it allows them to share my website on their Facebook timeline, which is better for me than just sending them to Facebook. A lot of people do this wrong. They don't use this share. They just have a link that brings somebody to Facebook. Well, what happens if you send somebody off of your website over to Facebook? Usually they're not going to come back because they're going to get distracted and get lost over there on Facebook. So you don't want to be sending people off of your website. It's okay and good for you if they share your website on social media. And this is a share plugin it's share functionality, and you can install this as a plugin through WordPress. WordPress has a lot of these different various ones, and so you can share this to a lot of different places. So that is a really important point, is that you don't want to be sending people off your website, but you do want them to be able to share your website with others, their friends and other people that they know. Okay. Now some notes about a website, how it should be. It should be simple, better than it is, as good as it can be, and easier to use. So you want it to look professional and clean, and you want it to be effective. You want your visitors to be able to know where they are when they arrive at your website. In other words, you want them to know what you're offering and what kind of a business or organization you are. So you want them to know that right away. So you want to be clear about that. So you don't want to have a cluttered up website where it's hard to find out what they want to know. And the first thing they want to know is, am I in the right place? Is this the website I wanted to come to? And then you want them to have an idea of what they should do next. So what's their next step? So you should make it prominent and really easy for them to figure that out. All right. There's a lot more we could do a whole webinar about, or a whole seminar about how to make a good, effective website. But I'm just doing this quick little list here. Next, easily change your website. Being able to easily change your website. That's very important, because you don't want to have an outdated website. And the functionality, how do your website visitors get around and experience your website? That's important. And then, so some solutions to these things: web-based content management system like WordPress, which is what we've been talking about. We've talked about website hosting, and we've talked about email options a little bit. Okay. Social media and Facebook. You should use that to get exposure and make new connections, for communicating events and announcements, and don't ever use a fake separate login on Facebook for your business or organization. You don't have to do that. You can create a business page or some kind of an organization page without making a new login. You just log in once as a person, and then once you're in, you can do all the other things you need to do. So if you break up social media into these categories, social networking would include Facebook and LinkedIn. Short messages is more of a Twitter and a Tumblr thing. Photo sharing, of course, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, Google, Flickr. Of course, on Facebook you can do photo sharing, and then video sharing, YouTube and Facebook Live, and not just Facebook Live, but video on Facebook as well. All right, and then a little bit about Facebook ads and Google ads. It's easier probably to set up and run Facebook ads. You've got really good targeting, so you can control what groups of people see your advertisements. And it's probably better for business to consumer than business to business. With Google ads, it's a little more complex to set up. It's been around, their advertising system's been around a lot longer. Their search network is good for matching with customers searching for you. So search ads, which search ads are text only, but when someone's searching for your product or service, you can show a Google ad to them right on the top of the page. And then pictures and video. Smartphones make it very easy to upload pictures and video. You probably know that already. Facebook or YouTube, both of those are good for video. Facebook's also good for pictures, as we mentioned earlier. You can easily embed YouTube videos into your website. You can do that with Facebook videos as well. And then the size of pictures is not as much of a concern when you're putting them on your website as it used to be, because of the automatic resizing capabilities of the newer website technology, especially within WordPress. So you don't have to worry about editing photos as much as you used to have to worry about that. And then in conclusion, just some quick tips here. Be sure to keep backups. You can make a backup of your website and download it. Usually your web host will make backups anyway for you. Use secure passwords. That's more important than ever. And hang on to your documentation. In other words, write down or type in and save, maybe like in a WordPress or a Word document or something. Make sure you save like your user ID and your password and where your website's at and where your domain name's at and what you have for email and just the basic things that you have set up. Okay, and then if you have questions, please feel free to contact me. There's my email address. You can also comment on this video. If you see this on YouTube or Facebook, you can comment on it. And thank you for watching.